Ethical violations and board discipline. Overview. Common reasons for board discipline in North Carolina. Applicable state and ACA codes. Personal thoughts. Biblical worldview. I reviewed the cases that were brought before the NC State Board for 2020, and some of the reasons for disciplinary action range from not taking the appropriate action when somebody was expressing suicidal ideation, inappropriate physical contact such as a hug, a kiss on the cheek, or any sort of touching, dual relationships and having inappropriate contact and sexual relationships, so not maintaining, professional boundaries of that such. I thought that, when it comes to dual relationships, that can be kind of a common sense thing in terms of, it is pretty black and white in terms of, sexual contact. So I was kind of shocked to find that, that was kind of the most common reason for disciplinary action in North Carolina. Some themes were selfishness, putting the self before the well-being of the client, human weakness in terms of being driven by the heart and whatever emotions may come that would drive that relationship into that inappropriate zone. Also, human empathy. There was a counselor who wanted to help the client so much that she gave the client $80 to go to a shelter, that kind of thing. So, the element of, care. In a recent case brought before the board, a counselor counseled two minors with the informed consent of one parent and not both parents. The parents had joint custody and were involved in a nasty, uncivil divorce, and the counselor was disciplined for not obtaining informed consent and also the improper maintenance of clinical records. The applicable state code is the ACA 2014's B5B, which states the responsibilities the counselor has to parents and legal guardians, and that's just the scope of confidentiality within the counseling relationship and the role of counselors that's pertinent to any legal or custodial agreements that may be in place. The outcome of the board decision was actually for the counselor to undergo some more continuing education units, and they considered that to be a reprimand. She was reprimanded. The state code is GS7B3400, as more 2020 states, is the parental consent, which just states that any professional has to obtain the parent's consent before the child can be treated. But GS Tech 9-21.5, which is the minor consent law, states that there's certain exceptions that minors don't need their parents' consent in order to receive care for. What does the ACA Code of Ethics in my state states about counselor impairment? Counselor impairment is just like when a counselor becomes so distressed from the stress and the impact of work on a day-to-day basis that they're not able to function and provide the care that clients need. COSIT in her Liley 2014 describes this as burnout, and ultimately the ACA 2014 states that any physical, mental, or emotional problems need to be taken care of to protect client welfare and also protect them from any kind of imminent harm. The state code for that is 21 NCAC 53.0102. I was unable to find an exact code that matched, but that particular code that I just stated kind of adopts the ACA codes. So I'm going to assume that that means that they're going to second what the ACA has recommended. The question that comes to mind is, how is this impairment measured? Because the counseling profession is a very demanding, high stress job. So I would like to know how exactly do they measure that impairment? Luke 10:19 states that God has given us the authority to trample over serpents and the enemy. And it is stated that to whom much is given, much is required. So I feel that it is imperative that counselors use that power and that authority that they're given to affect change over another individual's life and use that for good and not for evil.